It's Game of Thrones, people. It's back. Look alive. Get that crust out of your eyes. This time we're talking about Game of Thrones. Season 5, Episode 1. Let's talk about it. Now, here we have the first scene is Cersei going to see Maggie the Witch. And Maggie uses blood magic to tell fortunes. And the most important part of this is that Maggie tells Cersei that she will die at the hands of Valonqar. Valonqar means her little brother. Not her little brother, just means little brother. So it could be a tiny brother from an order of monks. It could be maybe her youngest son. It could be any number of things. It could be the youngest of the Stark boys. It's a very vague prophecy, but it is why she hates Tyrion. Or it's the second reason. The first reason is that he killed their mother by her giving birth to him. She latches on this, and this is the reason for her animosity for him. Next, we have Tyrion being unboxed, and Tyrion is just a wreck, as always. I mean, he's always a wreck. He's either hungover or drunk, and here he's clearly hungover. The spider is now revealing his true purpose for the first time. He wants to join Daenerys Targaryen, and he has been behind the people who have kept her safe all this time. Which is an interesting idea because isn't he the one that sent Jorah Mormont to kill her with poisoned wine? That's a little confusing. Maybe he didn't send them. Maybe that was Littlefinger, and he only pretended to send Jorah Mormont. Tyrion is, of course, very skeptical of all of this, is very standoffish, doesn't really want to do it, but ultimately he's intrigued, and they agree to go see Daenerys Targaryen. We have the Harpy of Marine being pulled down from the Great Pyramid. And here we then have an Unsullied observing this and then being assassinated after he goes to see a hooker. And this is fairly interesting. Daenerys is troubled by this assassination, as the sons of the Harpy have not killed before. So that'll be an interesting plot line. Who are these people? Are they slavers? Are they the old masters? Are they slaves that present the security that they had in society being usurped? And I think that could be it. I haven't seen them. I haven't read the books. This is all new for me as well. But I think that could be interesting. He was assassinated in a brothel, and the prostitute was in on it. So that is an interesting angle that they resent their security in the world being taken away. From here, she goes and she has a discussion with the head of the Second Sons about gladiatorial games in Yunkai. And I found this to be a little bit confusing conversation wise. The dialogue wasn't super clear. She goes from saying they start talking about the gladiatorial games. He says why he thinks they should be legal, and then he starts talking about you're the mother of dragons and you need to have dragons. And I'm not sure how they bridged that gap. It was a little confusing. Regardless, she goes down to the catacombs where she has two of her dragons there, and the third one is abroad apparently, roosting somewhere or something, and they are not happy to see her. She almost gets eaten. I don't really think she almost gets eaten. I take that back. The dragons are very unhappy to see her. They're very angry with her, as she is their mother, and they snap at her and blow fire around her. That's why I don't think they're trying to hurt her, because they're not blowing the fire at her, they're blowing it around. And she's terrified of this. When they leave Marine, they have to take the dragons with them. I don't know how they're going to be able to do that. I don't know how they're going to be able to move them. I don't know how she makes peace with him, and I look forward so much to seeing that. That's very that would be a very interesting plot line this season. There's so many plot lines in Game of Thrones, so intricate. That's why it makes such good material for reading and reviewing. Brienne and Pod, and Brienne just doesn't know what to do. She gives some exposition. She found one of the Stark girls, and she didn't want her help. Pod reminds her that they have to find the other one, and Brienne is so disheartened that she doesn't want to. And she gives some exposition that she just wants to serve a great lord. That's all she's ever wanted. Of course, this means that she's going to join Daenerys Targaryen. I have a feeling that something very bad is going to happen to Brienne. Somehow, in trying to serve this great lord, she's going to die, or she's going to, I don't know, attach herself to a Bolton, maybe? I know that's ridiculous, but there is something bad in store for her. She's not going to end the series by the side of Daenerys Targaryen, smiling broadly as they both have this platinum blonde hair off into the sunset. It's not going to end like that. Something terrible is in store for her. Next, we have Littlefinger, and Littlefinger has taken the man of the Eyrie, and he's deposited him with one of the lower lords for fighting training, which I have to say was so pathetic and funny to watch him trying to sword fight. It was pretty remarkable, to say the least. Now we're starting to see Sansa just completely, dark-sided. I half expected her to force choke somebody. She is just black magic through and through, cold as steel and twice as sharp. I'm not really sure what their next move is going to be. They have the Eyrie, so what now? What now for them? Because getting from the Eyrie to the Iron Throne, which Littlefinger apparently wants to do. I mean, he's still ambitious. He controls one of the seven kingdoms, and now he wants the Iron Throne. Apparently, it's a interesting proposition. What they're going to do, what ambitions they have to rule out, and finally, we have the Wall, where we have Jon Snow, the Red Witch, and the Baratheon, and they want Men's Rider to bend, to swear his allegiance to the Baratheon in his quest for the Iron Throne. He won't do it. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the Wildlings. It seems like some of the Wildlings are going to join, some won't. I mean, how incredible would it be for him to have giants in his army? That would be bizarre. Can you imagine the look on everyone's face? And here we start to see Jon Snow's leadership, because they try to burn Men's Rider alive. They do burn him, but Jon is the only man who stands up and fires an arrow. And they show the Baratheon and the Red Witch burning several other people previously in the show, and nobody shoots them. Nobody spares their life. I mean, nobody mercifully ends their life. Everyone just torturously ends their life. And I'd like to see if the Red Witch is going to do something interesting here. I have a theory that the god she serves is the opposite of the god of the White Walkers. That they are in opposition to each other. One ice, one cold. One steals babies and is pretty anti-human, represents kind of nature in that way, that nature is going to rise up and take back land from the humans. And one can heal people, bring them back from the dead, is brutal, is difficult, but ultimately keeps people safe and lets them cook food and smith weapons industry and keep the Red Witch alive for apparently a long time. One is summer, one is winter, which is a very important idea in the Game of Thrones universe. And so I think that they are polar opposites of one another. There will be some kind of powerful reckoning here. They have to address this before she leaves the wall. That maybe she puts a curse out. Oh, and the White Walkers can only be killed by fire, of course. I forgot that. We haven't seen what effect ice has on her. Well, actually, we did in this episode. Apparently, the cold doesn't bother her. Her fire god protects her from the cold. We will have to see what happens there. And I also think Jon Snow is going to have a greater position of leadership in the future. Overall, beautifully done. Some parts were a little bit confusing. But Game of Thrones is always so fantastic. Such a fantastically done show. It deserves its popularity. It's not, the Jersey Shore or the Kardashians. This deserves popularity. And one thing I love about what Game of Thrones means is that the people like art. That the people enjoy high art. Because this is something that artists always say they don't like. And this really disproves that this is subtle. It's beautiful. It's detail-oriented. And people love it. I can't wait to review all the episodes this season. I hope you'll join me for that. Thanks, and have a good night, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my other projects. Thank you.